What happens when Wall Street suddenly trusts the companies spending less on AI more than the companies building the AI boom itself? That twist may be today's clearest signal about where tech is heading next. Welcome to the Automated Daily Top News Edition, the podcast created by generative AI. It's July 30th, 2026, and I'm Trend Teller. Here's what you need to know today. From a fresh fight over OpenAI models to China's chip push, a major reshuffle inside DeepMind, violence in Gaza despite ceasefire talks, and a new effort to contain a dangerous Ebola outbreak. This episode is brought to you by 11 Labs. 11 Labs lets you discover the future of AI audio with cutting-edge voice technology. Find the link in the episode notes. We start with artificial intelligence policy, where some of the biggest names in tech are drawing a line in Washington. Nvidia, Meta, Microsoft, OpenAI, and others signed an open letter opposing any U.S. ban on Chinese open-weight AI models, arguing that broad restrictions could hurt research and innovation. The pressure comes from fears that powerful, freely shared models could aid cyber attacks or weaken America's lead in AI. Not everyone agrees. Anthropic declined to sign and said the more urgent concerns are chip exports, model copying, and tougher safety testing. The bigger question now is whether limiting access would actually make systems safer, or just slow development while doing little to stop determined actors. With a new federal AI review framework on the way, this looks less like a one-week debate and more like the start of a long policy battle. Next, China's drive for chip independence is looking more tangible. Memory maker CXMT has surged in value after its market debut, becoming mainland China's most valuable listed company and a symbol of Beijing's effort to build a domestic semiconductor base. That matters because memory chips are in heavy demand, especially as AI data centers pull the industry toward premium products and leave tighter supply elsewhere. At the same time, reports say China has begun mass production of its first domestically developed immersion DUV lithography machines, a key tool in chipmaking that has long been dominated by ASML. Experts are warning against overreacting. Making a few machines is one thing, proving they can run reliably at scale is another. Still, taken together, these developments suggest China is gradually reducing weak points in its chip supply chain, even if they are not yet enough to upend global leaders or quickly lower electronics prices. Inside Google DeepMind, there's a notable change in how top-tier AI research is being organized. The dedicated AlphaFold team is being disbanded, with many researchers moved into Gemini and other broader science efforts. AlphaFold is not going away, but Alphabet appears to want one core AI platform that can stretch across drug discovery, genomics, energy research, and cloud products instead of keeping separate flagship teams. Strategically, that makes sense if the goal is to turn elite research into more widely usable tools. But there is also some risk. Specialized teams often move faster when they stay focused, and reorganizations can unsettle the very talent companies most want to keep. That shift in AI strategy lands at a moment when investors are also rethinking the economics of the sector. Apple briefly became only the second company ever to top a $5 trillion valuation, even as money flowed out of many chip makers and AI infrastructure names. The contrast is striking. Apple has largely avoided the most expensive part of the AI build-out, so it has not faced the same pressure from rising capital spending and tighter cash flow that investors are now watching at rivals. Strong iPhone demand has helped, and steady pricing has made Apple look like a calmer bet in a more nervous market. In short, the AI race is still on, but the market is becoming more selective about who it believes will profit from it. In the Middle East, violence in Gaza continued despite active diplomacy. Israeli airstrikes killed at least 3 people on Thursday, including 2 children, according to medics, while the Israeli military said the strikes targeted Hamas militants. The deaths add to the toll seen even after the ceasefire took effect, underscoring how fragile the current pause remains. Meanwhile, in Cairo, Hamas leaders were meeting mediators from Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey over the next stage of a U.S.-backed plan. The talks are still stuck on the biggest issues, whether Hamas would disarm, how far Israeli forces would withdraw, and who would govern Gaza afterward. Those are not procedural details. They are the core questions that will decide whether this is a temporary lull or the path to a more durable settlement. And finally, a public health development worth watching. Hilleman Laboratories in Singapore says it will move forward on a vaccine aimed at the Bundibugyo strain of Ebola, which is driving a deadly outbreak in the Democratic Republic of Congo. There are currently no approved vaccines or treatments for that strain, so this is an important step if the candidate can move into human trials quickly. The effort is backed financially by CEPI, with technical support from MSD, and one potentially useful feature is simpler storage. If the vaccine proves stable in standard refrigerators, it could be far easier to deploy in remote areas than options that require more demanding cold chains. In outbreak response, practicality can matter almost as much as the science itself. Thanks to our sponsor, Consensus. Consensus uses AI to help you find and understand research papers, and you can get a free month. Find the link in the episode notes. That's your top news update for July 30th, 2026. I'm Trent Teller, and this has been the Automated Daily Top News Edition. Thanks for listening, and I'll be back with more tomorrow.